What is the best pitch correction software for vocals? When it comes to tuning singing, there's two names that come to mind, and that's AutoTune and Melodyne. And of course, everybody wants to know which one is the best for tuning vocals. So today, we're going to conduct the ultimate test and shoot out the top two most popular plugins for vocal pitch correction. So Nash, being on Team AutoTune, compiled a list of his top 8 things that he thinks AutoTune is exceptionally good for.
So first and foremost, while you're recording or while you're performing live at concerts, either one, you can use AutoTune. You can throw AutoTune on in the key of the song you're in and sing through it, and you're going to sound way better than you would without it. I've seen the mixing consoles at big concerts have a computer that's running AutoTune live. When you're recording in the studio or even writing songs, you can put AutoTune on to help inspire this bravery where you don't really worry about hitting the notes right, but you can just give it your all and sing what you want, and you have this trust that it's going to sound better in your headphones than you might actually sound. There's also no learning curve or setup time to use AutoTune in the auto mode. You simply pick the key, the scale, and then you can start going. And honestly, the default retune speed is not so bad anyways. That's what I always use when I'm making records. AutoTune also has this distinctive style in the sonic space of not only fixing the pitch, but just having a sound. Even great singers who have had perfected vocals that I've gone and manipulated and pitch corrected and hand tuned, they still want more AutoTune in auto mode on it, which one of the coolest ways I've heard it put was this girl wanted more grippiness on her voice, and she just wanted harder tune. You can achieve the AutoTune sound with manual pitch correction, but it's literally one click with AutoTune. If that's what you're going for, why would you even go there? For this next feature, it's easier to show you rather than tell you. So let's pull up AutoTune. So one of my favorite tools to use is this curve tool, which lets you manually draw in the pitch while keeping it natural sounding, because you can draw in whatever shape you want. This has saved my life when I'm working with a singer that's not the best. So there, I've drawn a curve that goes straight in. It doesn't dip below like it used to. And then you can always peel back the current one however far you want to.
Can't you also use this to like draw in a crazy vibrato that didn't previously exist too?
You could.
Boom.
Worry, don't you worry, child.
That's sick.
So if you need vibrato and the singer can't do it, you can always go crazy and make it. So the fifth thing that I love about AutoTune is that when you buy the full version of AutoTune Unlimited, you're getting so many things. You've got auto key, which is great for figuring out what key your songs are in. And then from that one instance, you can press a button. All of your AutoTunes will go to that key, which is such a time saver. And then you've got everything in here, like AutoTune Slice. I make DJ drops out of. The vocal EQ and compressor are, not really something I need to explain, but it's nice to have them included. There's a lot of other throat and voice manipulators in here, doublers, there's a sibilance fix, there's a harmony engine, de-esser, the list goes on, but you're not just getting one type of plugin, you're getting a whole suite. On to reason 6 that I am an AutoTune user. Frequent updates. It is always being updated. There are always new versions, but when there are new updates, the bittersweet part is that, this user might be using AutoTune 8, this one might be on AutoTune Pro, AutoTune 11, etc. Reason number 7, the intro price is $50. If you want to buy it outright and get AutoTune access, you can get in for pretty cheap, use it in the auto mode. You're not getting AutoTune Graph Mode and all of that, but if you're only after the effect of putting AutoTune on and letting it do its work, $50 is pretty nice. And finally, you can use it without an iLock. You can register it to your computer and you're done.
Moving on to Melodyne, here's my top 8 reasons why I love this software and have been using it as my exclusive pitch correction tool over the past 10 years. Number 1 is it's not just a plugin, but it's also a standalone app. I like having it running in the background behind my DAW so I can drag things like vocal samples or loops into it just to see what notes are going on inside that sample. In addition to that, you can also control a whole bunch of vocal layers all inside of one window without having to close the plugin and reopen different instances as you move around your session. Having a standalone version is really convenient, but also having the plugin as an option within your DAW is also nice as well. The second reason is Melodyne has more vocal pitch correction tools within it. While AutoTune includes a variety of other tools that like de-essers and compressors and effects, Melodyne has more pitch correction tools. For example, you don't just have pitch modulation, but you have pitch drift. And I find myself using pitch drift a lot more, and when I use AutoTune, I kind of miss it. And the difference is pitch drift affects the change in pitch over a long duration of time. So if you're slowly falling flat or going sharp, it fixes that while retaining the curvature of your vibrato. Whereas pitch modulation is how you would flatten out your vibrato. So I love how this software really delineates between those two aspects of your pitch. In addition to that, there's just more vocal correction tools inside of the Melodyne editor. You can do de-essing and turn down the level of a syllable, and it's not just volume, it's doing some really special balance between the tonality and the transient of it that almost sounds better than a de-esser when you do this correction inside of Melodyne. Same thing with breath reduction. I love using the amplitude tool to snipe my breaths, pull them down, give me a perfectly clean vocal without having to chop up my audio clip onto the timeline into a million different pieces. It is almost like it applies the crossfades for you because it sounds perfectly smooth. My fourth reason is probably one of the biggest reasons to use Melodyne, and that's polyphonic compatibility. And that's a big scientific word for you can tune a chord in this app. Whereas AutoTune is just for solo monophonic instruments, you could drag a guitar chord, a piano performance, anything with multiple overlapping notes can be imported into Melodyne and changed, almost defying the laws of physics. For example, a splice loop in a major key can be converted into a minor key by just moving the blobs around in Melodyne. And this is also why I love having the standalone app open behind my DAW, because you can quickly drag things back and forth and make a quick edit and kind of resample your sample out of Melodyne. And speaking of dragging audio files back and forth, once you have a keyboard loop or guitar performance in Melodyne, you can also export it as MIDI. If you were ever wondering what are those chords in this nice melody loop that I'm hearing, well, drag and drop it into Melodyne, get your chords, and drag the MIDI back into Ableton so you could create your own sound out of that exact performance. It's such a game changer to have the ability to change the melodic contents of any kind of audio, not just monophonic singing or instrument performances. So having access to convert any audio loop, chord performance, guitar, piano, keyboard into MIDI to edit in your own session is a huge game changer, and it's something Ableton was able to do, but people in other DAWs haven't really had that feature, so Melodyne really bridges that gap. My sixth reason is something that pertains to the user experience. As you're clicking around in Melodyne, it gives you a preview of the note you're hearing. And I find the preview to be much more helpful in Melodyne because it uses your actual voice or whatever you're melodyning as the preview. Whereas when you click on a note in AutoTune Graph Mode, it just plays a sine wave, just a generic beeping noise that matches the pitch that you're looking for. But I would much rather hear it using my source material. So I find the user experience of Melodyne to just feel a little bit more hands-on because as I move my voice around, I can hear the changes that I'm doing in real time. And of course, you can turn the preview on or off, but I find that Melodyne's preview is just a little bit more helpful. Number 7 is going to be a big one for a lot of people. There are no subscriptions in the Melodyne ecosystem at all. It's included as an add-on with a Pro Tools subscription, but if you want Melodyne, you just pay once, and if there's an upgrade somewhere down the road, you pay a small upgrade fee, but in general, you're not stuck into some sort of payment plan. There's no required subscriptions. It's extremely convenient. You actually own your license. You're not just temporarily subscribing to it. And the base price for Melodyne is around $99, and I believe the most expensive studio version is $499. So it's about the same price as AutoTune, where you're paying anywhere between $100 and $400 to $500, but there's less options in between. There's just the Essentials version and the Studio version. My 8th and final favorite thing about Melodyne is the way that they have integrated into some of my favorite DAWs. Both Pro Tools and Ableton have their own buttons to launch Melodyne on any audio track, and your audio will already be imported so you don't have to play it in real time before you tune. I know Cubase and I believe Studio One have some special integrations with Melodyne as well. And then Logic users have their own Melodyne knockoff built in called FlexTune. And in FL Studio, I believe it's called Newtone. So those are my top 8 reasons why I feel like Melodyne is specifically useful, and my favorite things that it can do that AutoTune cannot. Next, let's do a quick CPU test to compare if AutoTune or Melodyne uses more CPU in a Pro Tools session. We've tuned this vocal with both plugins using a copy on every layer.
So I think AutoTune uses more CPU being on and processing.
Yeah.
Because this is idling around 27 when AutoTune was higher.
Yeah.
And then AutoTune was around 55. And this one is living around 40
Well, that makes
something.
sense because AutoTune was in real-time mode. AutoTune was not in graph mode, so it's constantly trying to do math on the incoming signal and like measure and adjust things.
Yes.
That's probably why it has a lower baseline when we switch to Melodyne.
True. So I think overall, AutoTune looks like it uses more CPU.
So that being said, let's move on to what I think a lot of people believe is going to be the most important part of this test, and that is the sound quality. And to test the sound quality of Melodyne versus AutoTune, we're going to tune the same bad singing using both plugins and compare the results. So first, we're going to listen to my cover of Don't You Worry Child by the Swedish House Mafia. And first, we're going to let you hear what the raw vocals sounded like, and then we'll apply the 2 plugins.
There was a time I used to look into my father's eyes. In a happy home, I was a king, I had a golden throne. Those days are gone, now the memories on the wall. I hear the songs from the places where I was born. Up on a hill across the blue lake, that's where I had my first heartbreak. I still remember how it all changed. My father said, don't you worry, child. See, heaven's got a plan for you. Don't you worry now. Yeah.
What did you think of the 2?
I must admit that Melodyne didn't sound as much like a pitch correction plugin as AutoTune did. I heard less artifacts and it felt slightly more natural. But stylistically, the genre of music you're singing will dictate which one you prefer. What did you hear?
So I agree with you. I think Melodyne did sound a little more transparent. Because it's a bad singing take, I did crank the AutoTune speed to 10 on all of the notes, which just inherently gives it more of a computery sound. So in real life, I would back that off to 20, maybe 30, and that way it's going to be a more realistic approach. That might fix the comparison, but I think on this pass, Melodyne did sound a little more natural. For me personally, it's worth the speed in which I'm able to work and the drasticness I'm able to retune wrong notes, bad notes. And I would sacrifice the overall total transparency and perfect sound for the ability to make something into what I need it to be instead of struggle to get it there barely.
That's true. I must admit, it did take us less time to tune the AutoTune Pro example than it did to create the Melodyne example. So that's definitely something worth admitting. But time aside, I think Melodyne might take the sound quality test just for being discreet and unnoticeable, whereas AutoTune might take the sound quality test if you're looking for perfection and you're looking for completely in-tune singing. But let's hear how these plugins work on a good singer. Kara's performed a cover of Water by Tyla, and we've applied both AutoTune Graph Mode and Melodyne to her good singing to do some really minor adjustments and tweaks to see how perfect you can make good singing sound.
Normally, I could keep my cool, but tonight I'm wildin'. I'm a bee, yeah, and I tend to smoke. Can you match my timing? Telling me that you're really about it, why you hide it? Oh, talk is cheap, so show me that you understand how I like it. Can you blow my mind? Shade off my whole body. If I give you my time, can you snatch my soul from me?
So that brings us to the part of the video where we share our conclusions, opinions, and who we think won in the battle between AutoTune and Melodyne. So we both picked reasons why we feel like we won. So Nash is going to go first and share his top 2 reasons.
Oh man, I'm going Team AutoTune on this. I love the interface. I love how usable it is. I love how simple it is, especially drawing notes, and it does all the guesswork for you. Whereas Melodyne can have really, really, really intense control, but you really need to know what you're doing a lot more. I love how the controls are all right in front of you. There's no like hidden menus or drop downs that you have to double click or hold. Makes it super simple and easy. And then I really appreciate how there's less tools in the graph mode interface, and the simplicity makes it seem actually more powerful to me.
Obviously, in the sound quality test, it was clear to hear that Melodyne was slightly more natural. So if that's the sound that you're going for, then Melodyne is easily going to be the choice for you. In addition to vocal pitch correction, it's just the best choice for music producers in general because you can not just edit vocals, but you can drop in chords, instrument loops, convert audio to MIDI, and do a whole lot more production tricks outside of just vocal productions. It's more of a Swiss Army knife than AutoTune, and in my workflow, I just find that a little more useful. And I feel like I wanted to save the best point for last. Melodyne has remained very consistent over the years with stability, customer satisfaction, especially as it regards to updates and changes. You don't frequently see people using the old version of Melodyne because it works better or it sounds better. Everyone's using Melodyne Studio 5 and they love it. Whereas when you go to AutoTune, everybody's got, oh, I like AutoTune Pro, I like the UAD version, but it's discontinued. Oh, but he likes AutoTune EFX and that's discontinued too. And there's just a different answer from almost every user. So in my opinion, that's a big strength for Melodyne. When it comes down to a producer building their plugin collection for the first time, obviously in a perfect world, you would want to have both AutoTune and Melodyne. But I know that not everybody is going to get both at the same time as they're beginning. So if I had to recommend one to start with, as much as I love Melodyne, I would probably recommend you get AutoTune first, because that's going to be with you from the start, the middle, all the way till the end of your career. Whereas Melodyne is a very advanced vocal pitch correction tool for people who specifically and meticulously want to spend time sifting through every syllable in their vocal. AutoTune offers a set it and forget it option, which I got to admit really helps AutoTune take the cake in this contest.
And Reid, with the set it and forget it concept, I love, no matter if I'm using Melodyne or AutoTune Graph Mode, I love following it up with an AutoTune Auto Mode plugin just to kind of wrap it up, give it that texture, give it that creaminess, and then tighten up the notes a little bit too.
So there you have it, AutoTune versus Melodyne. A complete shootout of the sound quality, functionality, and some opinions from users who have been in the ecosystem for over a decade.
And if you're trying to learn how to do this like a pro and get really in-depth with AutoTune, Graph Mode, or Melodyne, we have both courses available on wholeloops.com.
That's right. So no matter which software you choose, we have a full 90+ minute course to teach you everything you need to know about both AutoTune and Melodyne. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Who do you feel sounded better? Which one do you see yourself using in your workflow? And if you use both, let us know in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time in another tutorial.